Start streaming. Okay, I don't think I can make that any smaller. Alright. Laptops down. Seriously. Alright. I beg your indulgence. So, we're going to get into it today. But, you know, what we did yesterday was pretty heavy. For most, maybe not all. But we saw how to interface with users, and that's a big deal. It's all uphill from here? Downhill? Uphill. So, who went home with doubts? I doubted myself last night. It's good. Everybody? Who went home and worked? Who went home and Googled? All right. Who went home and created a database from scratch? So close. All right. So, I got a little speech, got some videos to play. Kind of want you guys to understand the theme of this is failure. It's one of the most important lessons of my life, besides humility, which I'm still working on. But I think I'm going to do a little bit today. I think the first video I'm going to show you is real quick. This guy, he was a commander in the Navy SEALs. So for a lot of us guys, I don't know if I mentioned this or it comes through a little bit, but I was in the service a little bit. So this guy is our Captain America. So he is in the community of soldiers. He is in airmen and Marines and Navy personnel and all that jazz. He is by far the best example of all of us. He is Captain America. I don't know if anybody knows the story of Captain America. But he was a weak little boy, kind of like me when I was in band in 10th grade. But, you know, he gets the injections and becomes the best human available. So that's what this guy is. I'm going to kill the lights a little bit. If I can get all this to work. And there's a little bit of music playing in the background. I couldn't... Oh, here we go. Let's see if Control-C will work for me today. Yeah, I'm a programmer. Alright. Well... Okay. That's good because there's an ad, so... Alright...
He made well over $1 million trading part-time for my favorite places in the world. In fact,
Jocko, I am a chronic excuse maker. How do I stop making excuses and get things done?
That's him right there. That's the man.
Chronic excuse maker. How do you stop making excuses?
Silver star.
This is actually pretty simple. And I said it the other day, you have to realize, you have to know, you have to accept that all your excuses are lies. They are lies, all of them. Think about the things that you tell yourself, the lies you use to rationalize taking the easy road. Taking the easy road and leaving discipline behind. Think about them. You don't have time. That's a lie. You don't have support. That's a lie. You don't have the equipment or the gear. Lies. You don't know the best way. Who cares? That's a lie. Or you're too old, or you're too young. Of course you're too old or too young. Lie. And there's, you're too busy. Sure you are. That's a lie. And you're too tired, or you're too sore, or you're just plain not feeling it. Lies, lies, lies. And the list goes on and on and on. And it doesn't stop. if you don't make it stop. So recognize the excuses are not valid. They aren't. They're trumped up. They're conjured up. They're fabricated. They're lies. And how do you stop the lies? You stop the lies with the truth. The truth. The truth will set you free. The truth will stand, and the truth will deliver you from procrastination and laziness and the downward spiral that comes with a lack of discipline. So don't believe the lies, believe the truth. But the truth is, you have time. You have the skill, you have the knowledge and the support and the willpower and the discipline to get it done. So cast out the lies, burn them down, and listen to the truth, and live the truth, and go out and get it done.
Okay, so that's nice, motivating, right? Cool, awesome. Thanks, Dave. Appreciate it. I don't care. I don't have time. Right? That's a lie. All right, we're going. I'm gonna prove it. I'm gonna prove it to you right now. I'm gonna prove it to you with Mount Everest, and I'm gonna tell you my story. Told you a little bit yesterday, but I'm gonna tell you all the hard stuff today. All right, Mount Everest. It's as tall as 747s fly. It's high up there, right? It takes 60 days to climb to the top of that thing. It is no joke. If anybody's watched that, all right? 265 killed climbing it by choice. There's like 28 bodies still up there. Anybody know why? Because there's not enough oxygen for their partners to carry them back down. You have to leave them there. If you so much as stop to grab the body to try to drag it down, you will die. It's no joke. We all agree? A blind dude did it. An amputee. An 80-year-old man. No excuses. I have a picture on my fridge of a soldier who lost both of his legs with an IED. And he's squatting 225. Whoa. And it says no excuses on it. I see that every morning. I don't have any excuses. I don't lie to myself. I'm weak. I'm a failure. And I'm honest about what I do. And that's what you got to do here. You know, you suck at all this stuff. That's cool. Suck at everything I do. I suck at teaching this stuff, but I'm still here. I mean, yeah, everybody's been nice to me about saying, yeah, you're doing a good job, but I ain't that great at all this stuff. I ain't great at getting up here and typing all that stuff out and showing you guys things. I can explain stuff, but I ain't the greatest. But guess what? I'm back here today. I woke up this morning, I was like, man, I should call him and tell him I don't want to do this stuff. But I'm here. No excuses, right? I'm outside my comfort zone. It's cool. All right. There's a good book called Fail Up. I know you all have your stories, and I'm sure your stories are awesome, heroic journeys of struggle and strife, and that's awesome. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to need a little bit of indulgence from you, and I'll tell you my story a little bit of the litany of all my failures and how that's led me to where I'm at right now. So I graduated high school in 1995. I'm a little older than I look. I went to space camp. I was an Eagle Scout. My dad had a whole lot of hopes and dreams for me to be an aerospace engineer. I was one of those kids that didn't have to study in high school. Made A's and B's. I wasn't that great a student, but I took all the AP courses, had a whole bunch ready to go, right? I went to Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University for aerospace engineering in 1995 in Daytona Beach, Florida. I lasted 30 days. I made a 24 on my calculus test on a Monday. I joined the United States Marine Corps on the second story of a 2-story McDonald's in downtown Daytona Beach, Florida on a Tuesday. And I called my dad on a Wednesday, said I was leaving. $14,000 down the drain. So that January, it was nice and warm, snow on the ground. I shipped off to Parris Island, South Carolina. Nobody in my family had been in the military, nobody warned me. I made it through, suffered 13 weeks. Parris Island's no joke. I don't know if anybody knows anything about that. I didn't run at all before I got there. I didn't know I was supposed to do that. So I learned how to run while I was in there. I did okay, not great. Made it out in 1996, and I might be wrong about these facts, but it's close enough. But 1996, I was did hurricane response in Jacksonville, North Carolina for Hurricane Bertha. And I was in a rollover Humvee accident, and I completely tore my knee apart, had to have a partial knee replacement. At 18 years old, my dreams flushed down the toilet of the United States Marine Corps, and I'd failed out of college. All right, 1996, they didn't care about you. They getting dudes out all left and right. It was drawdown, post-Clinton era, whatever, all that good stuff. So it was pre-9/11. So I got out. I didn't know how to fight the system. I was a young kid. All right, so I get out. I meet this man. He sets me up for success. I used the GI Bill. Told you that story a little bit yesterday. I get out there. Of course, I made all kinds of awesome failures as a computer programmer. All that stuff's obvious at this point. But in 2006, I completely burned out. Completely burned out. I opened up a laptop. I couldn't stand it. Couldn't write code. I was completely done. I had been sued by my employer. So I had wrote software for a legacy federal credit union that monitored credit card transactions. And we had had a partnership but no contract. It was handshake, which in hindsight sounds as stupid as it sounds as I say it out loud. I had a handshake deal with the CIO. We were working on the contract. I built a pretty significant piece of software. It was okay. I spent a lot of time on it, 100 hours a week kind of deal, just a lot. But when it started taking off, the CEO, not the CIO, thought it was theirs. We didn't have a contract. So they took it, rewrote about 20% of it, said it was theirs, and filed a lawsuit against me. It cost me $15,000 to defend myself, and I was done with computer programming for a little bit. So I went to my wife, ex-wife now, and I said, I need to change a career. Now keep in mind I had a 2-year degree for Psych Tech. Barely made it through after my start of college and failure in 30 days. Had a couple of credits. So I went down to the National Guard Recruiting Center down here on Silas Creek Parkway, and I talked to the guys, and I was like, hey, I want to do this because I can't do anything else right now. I need to change careers. And they were like, well, hey, guess what? It's the height of the Iraqi insurgency, and we are taking felonies and people who can, with a heartbeat, and we will take anybody who can sign the contract and get a waiver. And we do not care. And I was like, it sounds like the greatest time in the world for a broken down old Marine who's got a partial knee replacement to get back into the service. So I went to my wife and I said, hey, guess what? I'm going to join the Army. So she was not happy. That's okay. I understand. We had 2 little kids. But I couldn't do anything else. So I went and found a colonel who would sign the waiver, and I got back in with a 2-year degree. Now you have to have a 4-year degree to be an officer. But as long as you sign a piece of paper saying you're going to get your 4-year degree and you're working on it, they'll let you in when things are going bad. Right? So these were warning signs that I ignored. Happily. Because I was excited. I did not want to touch a laptop again. So I joined the Army. They let me back in. I snuck in. I went down to MEPS, and he was like, got anything to complain about? And I was like, no, everything's great. Did the duck walk. I was back in the Army. I left my family for 2.5 years. I went through South Carolina OCS, so Officer Candidate School, was commissioned as a 2nd lieutenant. In infantry, I got everything I wanted. It's hard to get infantry. I don't know if you guys know this kind of stuff, but when you're an enlisted man, they'll let you give you infantry no problem. That's the dumb guy place. That's, you do bad on the test, they shove you in the infantry. Because it's, face forward, pull the trigger. It's not hard. It's not a hard job. I could teach anybody in here how to be a machine gunner in about 10 minutes. It's not a hard job. All right, so, but being an infantry officer, leading those guys is not exactly an easy job. And you're the forward of the tip of the spear. So, I was 35 years old going through OCS. The next oldest person was 23. I was 11 years older than everybody else. Luckily, I look young, so I could kind of get away with a whole bunch of stuff without looking like an old man. But I was last in every run. I could barely make it through the 12-mile ruck marches. I suffered. It sucked. It wasn't a short amount of time. It was a year and a half of training from when I started OCS through when I was actually a fully qualified infantry officer. I had to go through almost 13 months worth of training. All day, every day. It was rough. It was rough. It was a lot of doubt. And I wasn't a young man. So I made it through and I succeeded by will alone, by suffering and discipline. I made it. And I deployed to Baghdad in 2019. Or I'm sorry, that ain't here yet. 2009. While I was going through training, and I would challenge you guys yesterday. I challenged you yesterday about going and finding a job is hard. When I was going through, as an old man, going through infantry officer basic course at Fort Benning, Georgia, where the mud is deep and the sun is hot, I would drive from Georgia on the weekends and link up with a National Guard unit and drill for free in North Carolina, 8 hours. I would drive on a Friday afternoon, because here's what I had done. I'd done my homework. Who was deploying? What units in that were deploying? Where were they going? And who were the captains involved? I figured all that crap out. And I called the captain, and I was like, hey, sir, I know I'm not in your unit. I know you don't know me, but I'm a lieutenant down here going through infantry officer basic course. Can I come drill with you? Can I come hang out with you guys on the weekends? He was like, sure, I don't care. It's your dime. So I showed up. Right place, right time, right uniform. And I got after it. So I actually drove 10 different weekends, discarded my family. I worked out a deal with my wife, so every other weekend I'd go see the kids, and then the other weekends I'd go, or one weekend a month, I'd go drill with those guys, because I knew they were deploying. And I got after it, and I put in the work, and I put in the suffering, and I was disciplined about it. I got up. I left Fort Benning at 3 o'clock. I was there at drill time by 11 o'clock at night. I didn't sleep the whole entire weekend. It felt like maybe a couple hours a night. I'd go out and get on Bradley fighting vehicles all weekend. I'd go out and do maneuvers and fire, because they were prepping for deployment. And then I would drive back Sunday night at like 5 o'clock at night, sometimes 3. I'd get a little lucky on Sundays. I'd drive all the way back to Fort Benning, get up at 05 for PT the next day as an old man. It sucked. And I put in that effort, and I put in that discipline. And that takes the same thing here. I talk about military stuff a lot, but military stuff is the same thing as regular life, just turned up to 11. They say for every year in the Army is like 4 years in real life as far as stress and interactions with other human beings. They say a year of deployment is like 10 years of life, of just stress and things. So I deployed. I'm a hot shot, because that captain absolutely went to bat for me because I put out. And he got me first platoon, platoon leader, which is a big deal. To be first platoon, that's where all the good guys are. You have 3 platoons. They put all the good guys, medium grade guys, and the guys that need help, right? The 3rd platoon. So to get first platoon, platoon leader is a big deal. I'm not saying for me, but you know, it took hard work and discipline. So I get to Iraq, and my first mission where I was sort of in charge, because you kind of, when you get there, you replace a unit. So there's a unit already there. They've been in the fight for a year. They know everything. They know the ground, their terrain, the enemy. They know everything. So they kind of spend 2 weeks with you, helping you out. You sit and ride with them. They show you where all the good stuff is, where all the good restaurants are, where the car wash is. I'm joking. And the first time, so towards the end of that 2 week period, they send most of the guys home, and you take charge with your guys, and they have some of their guys there to kind of support you and tell you all the dumb stuff you're doing. Talk about failure. Every day, all day, constantly. And I'd already been through a year's worth of school in tents, and I had no idea what I was doing. It was awesome. It was awesome. So my first mission, quote unquote mission, was to do a traffic control point. Easy stuff. You go out and imagine 40, business 40. You got buildings on both sides. It's exactly like that, just crappier in Baghdad, right? It's the same thing. So we're sitting there in the middle of 40, I'm just going to say, and we block traffic on both sides at like 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And they go to work over there too. So it's 5 o'clock, rush hour, same thing. So traffic's backed up forever. And you just block both sides. You got big machine guns, big burly dudes, and then you kind of let 1, 2 cars go through and you check them, all that kind of stuff. You can kind of imagine one. It's like a license point, right, where they check your license. So we're sitting there, and I'm setting everything up. And the captain, there's 2 captains out there with me, kind of. I'm first platoon leader, and I'm doing the first mission of our entire battalion. I'm the guy. So the full bird colonel's listening on the radio. This is our entire unit's first mission with me. And I hear somebody come over the radio and say, "Hey, you're setting that up wrong. Turn the other 2 trucks around. They should be facing the other way." And I'm like, "Roger, got it. Go and turn the trucks around." And all of a sudden, on my other radio net, I hear my captain. He's like, "Lieutenant, why did you turn those trucks around? Go and put it the other way." And I get back on my platoon net when it should be just my guys, and I say, "These guys I got one captain telling me one thing and another captain telling me the other." And all of a sudden I hear chirped up on the radio, "Cobra 1-1, this is Captain Vaughn. Be advised, you're on company net," and everybody just heard that. First mission. Full bird colonel. So, that was a huge mistake. I lost my cool. The other unit was there. But that was easy. Nobody got hurt. It's all good. Every day's a good day when you come home. My first real mission was a raid, 3 o'clock in the morning. Now, there's a whole lot of detail here that I'm going to skip over, but suffice it to say that when I got there in 2009 was towards the end of the handover. I don't know if anybody knows anything about Iraq, but President Bush decided that they were going to hand over control, and then that we were going to let the Iraqis take the lead, right? So what happened was, when we decided to do that, the Iraqis taking the lead, they're softer, right? We're more well-trained. That's obvious stuff, right? So the insurgency decided that was a really good time to go ahead and start getting after it, right? The bad guys were like, "Hey, the soft guys are up front. It's easy. Let's get after it," right? So things got hot. But we were a National Guard unit. It wasn't supposed to do that. We're the high school football team, right? We're not the NFL. So we were supposed to just kind of be there to hand everything over, but it didn't work out that way. But that's okay. We all have the same training. So there I was, a newly minted first platoon leader with already one huge mistake under my belt. I planned my raid, 3 o'clock in the morning, high value target. We got all kinds of intel. This is a cakewalk, right? We're just going to go in there. We know the guy's there. We're going to get this guy. It's going to be a huge win. Again, first mission of the entire battalion. Colonel's on the line. This is the first mission where we're all by ourselves without the previous unit. So this is the first big boy mission where we're our own evac. We're our own hospital. We have all of our assets. Everybody's on station. Everybody's ready to go. All the cylinders are firing. The truck is going down the road. It's time to go, right? It's time to get after it and start accomplishing missions. And we got an easy one to run up first, right? So I'm the lieutenant, and I got 100 men. 100 18-year-olds. It's more like 70, 18-year-olds and like 30 old guys, right, that are the sergeants. But suffice it to say, it felt like 118-year-olds. And my job is to plan the mission and to let the sergeants take over, right? So I plan the mission. It's awesome. I'm a computer programmer, right? You can imagine the type of PowerPoint I put together. Sexy, right? All the other lieutenants are putting Post-it notes and, you know, they're drawing stuff on blackboards, and I got animation, and I've got real Humvees moving in, and I'm briefing the men, you know. I got after it, right? 3 o'clock in the morning. We line our Humvees up 2 roads away, right? And imagine, if you will, this is like being in the middle of downtown Winston-Salem. This is like being in the houses, maybe over, you know, in Winston. It's a big city. You got houses everywhere. Everybody's asleep. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. You know, you don't do things during the day like that. But so we all get out of the Humvees, and it is a circus. It is 100 men, 17 trucks. I mean, it's just gigantic, right? And I'm in charge. Captain's on the ground with me, but I'm in charge. So I get out of the truck, and my personal security guy is a ranger. Now, if anybody doesn't know, Rangers lead the way. They're the best. Best of the best. So they put the ranger with me, make sure I didn't screw up. But in my infinite lieutenant wisdom, it did not work out well. We moved north towards the house. We hit the house. It was the wrong house. I had planned the right house. I knew the right house. We hit his next door neighbor. Sucked. And we pulled up the trucks. We got everybody around. We went in. We woke that family up. We were the monsters in the middle of the night. Took care of business. The guy wasn't there. And all of a sudden, the ranger looks at me and he's like, "Sir, we hit the wrong house." And I had to call on the radio. Cobra 11, Cobra 6, we're in the wrong place. He's like, "Well, hit the right place." So we went next door and we got the guy. But it was a huge failure. I mean, I literally went into the wrong house and the wrong family, and I might have created a terrorist that day. We'll never know. But, you know, I got over it. I learned what I did wrong. I made 150,000 more mistakes after that. And that's okay. But, you know, that type of environment is just a more intense version of what you guys are going through right now. You're learning new things. You're going to go to a new shop. You're going to have a boss. You're going to screw things up. Who here has deleted production data live? Me. Who here is screwed up and, you know, had the bosses call them at 2 in the morning? Me. Right? It all happens. It happens. Allie's raising his hand back there. Y'all can't see it. Okay. Okay. So that's my personal journey a little bit. I will tell you, you know, I'm 41 right now, and again, I'm burned out. This is kind of my last gig. I'm doing a little bit with the place I'm at right now, but I'll be done August 1st. And as a 41-year-old man, I joined the fire department. And I'll go through join the locals volunteer shop up in Pinnacle. I have an opportunity. I've been training with them for about 4 or 5 months now. I'm leaving August 18th to go to a 5-month intensive firefighter school in Hilton Head City, North Carolina, where I will live in a fire station full-time for 5 months to be a fully qualified firefighter. And I hope to come back and either get hired on in my local city and I'll go through the agility test here at Winston and see how it happens. But if I go through the agility test here in Winston, I'll be the oldest or either the second oldest guy to go through it. Whole new, I'm right where you guys are at right now. I'm learning a whole new profession at 41. I stay at the fire station and I'm the probie. And 22-year-olds are bossing me around, having me wash fire trucks. I'm loving every minute of it. I don't care, right? And that's the attitude. Doesn't matter. I know you guys are coming from other careers and all that kind of stuff. Embrace it. Be wrong. Raise your hand. Get after it. Do stuff. Fail up. Alright, so I got 2 more videos. I'm sorry, it's going to indulge me just a little bit longer. Alright, get this one here. One short, and then one's going to be a little bit longer. And obviously we're going to talk to we're going to let my spirit animal here talk to you guys, because he does a whole lot better job speaking than I ever will.
It's Jason Bond, founder of JasonBondPicks.com, and I teach people how to trade stocks.
There's a lot of music on this one too.
Do I ever feel like Sisyphus? Yeah. Of course I do. I've been waiting for people to start saying, like, oh, you put another picture of the sweat and of a squat rack? Really? But I don't know if they understand. I've been getting on that squat rack and grinding it out for 25 years. And I'm not bored with it yet. It might seem like that's an unwinnable battle, but really to me, it's not about winning. It's the battle itself. It's the struggle. It's the daily test. That's what life's about. Not just physically, but mentally. Getting that rock to the top of the mountain. That's not what my goal is. My goal actually is pushing the rock. Because pushing the rock, that pushes me. That makes me tougher. That makes me harder, mentally and physically. It gives me much more than I give it. I want to struggle. I want to grind and claw and scratch, and I want to dig in and I want to push. And I don't want it to end. If I ever got the rock to the top of the mountain and it stayed there, I'd push it back down myself. I don't want to rest, and I don't want to coast. And I don't want to reach a point in my life where I say, that's it. I've done enough. I'm not going to give anymore. I'm not going to push anymore. No. That relentless cycle of day-to-day challenges, they aren't maddening to me. They don't frustrate me. They inspire me. They inspire me to drive and push more and to push harder. That's what that rock does to me. So I say, dig in and get to pushing.
All right. So, boss, is it okay if I play one more?
It's all you.
All right. So we talked about. Oh crap! What was the first point? Oh, excuses or lies. That's cool. Makes sense now. You know, we talked about pushing the rock. That's what it's going to feel like every day when you're out here doing this stuff, right? You're going to be failing every day. You're going to be winning every day. You need to keep grinding it out. That's the only answer. It's not how smart you are. I ain't the smartest person out here. You saw Allie typing on the computer yesterday. I don't know that stuff anywhere near as well as he does. But I grind, and I get after it, and I push the rock every day, and I have for 20 years with that. And I'll find another rock and keep pushing that one, right? And I told you a little bit about my story about failure, right? And failure's okay. I've learned more from my failures than I ever have with anything else. And I think it's what's given me the most success in my life is having failed. And I don't know if anybody else has heard this kind of rumor stuff before, but out in Silicon Valley, they kind of don't like you unless you've been through with a startup company who's failed. They like guys who have been through startup companies who have completely exploded, because you know what it looks like, you know what it takes to succeed. You learn from that a whole lot more than you learn from your successes. Successes are easy. All right, and then so what I'm going to show next is kind of the third concept that reading is true to me as anything else, and it's ownership. And I think I think this final video kind of caps everything off. And I'll speak a little bit about Jocko. I think I mentioned it some, but I'm gonna, before he gets into it here, he doesn't talk about himself a whole lot, but he was a Navy SEAL for 20 years. He was a commander. He was also enlisted. So he enlisted as a Navy SEAL, went through BUD/S as an enlisted man, and then came back again and went through all that again as an officer. It's crazy. Went to school on the Navy's dime, and then deployed to Iraq, Silver Star. He doesn't mention that when he's in there, but Silver Star. He is the most perfect definition of a soldier I've ever heard. But I'm going to let him tell his story, and then we'll get into real programming. All right. After these...
Wealth management. You get straightforward advice, tailored recommendations, tax-efficient investing strategies, and a dedicated
listen to the whole thing.
to help you grow and protect your wealth.
Nice.
Quality wealth management.
Look at that monster.
War is a nightmare. War is awful. It is indifferent and devastating and evil. War is hell. But war is also an incredible teacher, a brutal teacher. And it teaches you lessons that you will not forget. In war, you are forced to see humanity at its absolute worst. And you are also blessed to see humanity in its most glorious moments. War teaches you about sorrow and loss and pain. And it teaches you about the preciousness and the fragility of human life. And in that fragility, war teaches you about death. But war also teaches you about brotherhood and honor and humility and leadership. And unfortunately, war teaches you the most when things go wrong. And for me, one of the most impactful lessons that I learned from war was in the spring of 2006 in the city of Ramadi, Iraq, which at the time was the epicenter of the insurgency, where brutal and determined terrorists ruled the streets with torture and rape and murder. And it was in one neighborhood of that city, during an operation that I was in charge of, when all hell broke loose. We had multiple units out on the battlefield fighting the enemy. We had friendly Iraqi soldiers, we had U.S. Army soldiers and U.S. Marines, along with small elements of my SEAL team. And then the fog of war rolled in, with its confusion and chaos and mayhem, and with its gunfire and enemy attacks and screaming men and blood and death. And in that fog of war, through a series of mistakes and human error and poor judgment and Murphy's Law and just plain bad luck. A horrendous firefight broke out. But this firefight, it wasn't between us and the enemy. This firefight, tragically, was between us and us. Friendly forces against friendly forces. Fratricide. The mortal sin of combat. And the most horrific part of war. And when it was over, and the fog of war lifted, one friendly Iraqi soldier was dead, 2 more were wounded, one of my men was wounded, the rest of my SEALs were badly shaken. And it was only through a miracle that no one else was killed. And it was reported up the chain of command what had happened. That we had fought and wounded and killed each other. And when we got back to base, things didn't get much better. There was a message waiting for me from my commanding officer. And it said, shut down all operations. It said that the commanding officer, the master chief, and the investigating officer were inbound to my location. And they told me to prepare a debrief to explain exactly what had happened on the operation and what had gone wrong. Now, I knew what this meant. It meant that somebody had to pay. It meant that somebody had to be held accountable. It meant that somebody had to get fired for what had happened. So, I began to prepare my debrief. And in it, I detailed every mistake that was made and who made it. And I pointed out every failure in the planning and the preparation and the execution in the operation. And I pointed out who was responsible for that failure. There was plenty of blame to go around. There were so many people that I could incriminate with guilt. But something wasn't right. For some reason, I just couldn't put my finger on who was at fault and who specifically I should blame for what had happened. And I sat and I went over it again and again and I struggled for an answer. And then when I was about 10 minutes from starting the debrief, that answer came, and it hit me like a slap in the face. And I realized that there was only one person to blame for the confusion, only one person to blame for the wounded men, and only one person to blame for the dead Iraqi soldier. And I knew exactly who that person was. And with that knowledge, I walked into the debriefing room with my commanding officer, and the master chief and the investigating officer were sitting there waiting for me, along with the rest of my men, including my SEAL that had been wounded, who was sitting in the back of the room with his head and his face all bandaged up. And I stood up before them and I asked them one simple question. Whose fault was this? One of my SEALs raised his hand. And he said it was my fault. I didn't keep control of the Iraqi soldiers I was with. And they left their designated sector, and that was the root of all these problems. And I said, no, it wasn't your fault. And then another SEAL raised his hand and said it was my fault. I didn't pass our location over the radio fast enough so no one knew what building we were in, and that's what caused all this confusion. It was my fault. And I said, no, it wasn't your fault either. And then another SEAL raised his hand. And he said, boss, this was my fault. I didn't properly identify my target. And I shot and killed that friendly Iraqi soldier. This was my fault. And I said, no, this wasn't your fault either. And it wasn't yours or yours or yours, I said as I pointed to the rest of the SEALs in the room. And then I told them that there was only one person at fault for what had happened. There was only one person to blame. And that person was me. I am the commander. I am the senior man on the battlefield, and I am responsible for everything that happens. Everything. And then I went on to explain to them some new tactics, techniques, and procedures that we were going to implement to ensure that this kind of travesty never happened again. And I will tell you something, it hurt. It hurt my ego. It hurt my pride to take the blame. But I also knew that to maintain my integrity as a leader and as a man, I had to take responsibility. And in order to do that, I had to control my ego so that my ego did not control me. And you know what? I didn't get fired. In fact, my commanding officer, who had expected excuses and finger pointing, when I took responsibility, when I took ownership, he now trusted me even more. And my men, they didn't lose respect for me. Instead, they realized that I would never shirk responsibility. And I would never pass that heavy burden of command down the chain and onto them.
Sorry guys, stream went down in Richmond, so we're going to...
The same attitude.
It's almost done here. Let me stop. I just hit the button. We're almost through it here, and there's actually a business point here at the end. Sorry. Down.
He's still trying.
What's a silver star?
It is the second highest, maybe. I'm not sure. I'm probably going to say that wrong. But you got the Congressional Medal of Honor. Everybody knows that one. And then below that is going to be Silver Star, and below that's Bronze Star. Yeah.
Not yet.
Suspended for policy violations?
Nice.
Nice indeed.
I have violated the policy.
Maybe you can't stream YouTube on YouTube.
You want to take a 5-10-minute break?
Sure. All right, we can do stop.
You just send the link to her. Well, no, we can.
Yeah. Let's just.
Yeah, let's do that.
It's almost done. I'd hate
It's
to.
almost done. Just.
I'd hate to lose the point.
Here, and then send the link to Harper so he can finish it over there.
Is that Slack maybe here?
Yeah, you can put it in Power Public if you want.
Power Public. Okay, I don't know what that is. Come over here and show me. That's what we need to do here.
Slack.
Oh, where's that at? This is Allie's computer.
Probably in there. Just search it.
Maybe go to here to Empower. No, that's not right.
No.
Slack. There we go. I'm gonna put it in the old Slack, and they can just go to. I'll put the time stamp in there, and then they can just drive on. And then we'll take a break. See if we
Power
can.
Public.
Empower Public. There we go. All right, now I get it. All right, and then we are at 11:23.
Wait. Okay. They got it back up.
All right. All right, we're streaming. And away. All right, it's almost done. There is business point here. I know it's heavy, but, you know, like I said, you know, business, war and infantry and military stuff is just business turned to 11. So let's just keep thinking about that while we're going here. So has there been times when, you know, things have broken and I've needed to take ownership? Yeah. Okay.
Oh wait, he says no. He says stop the YouTube. No more YouTube.
All right. Well, he's got the link. He can. Well, this is the last it.
He says they will shut it down. So, yeah, just send him the link.
I did.
He can show you.
Yeah, he's all
Like
right.
a team where no one takes ownership of the problems, and therefore the problems never get solved with us. Everyone took ownership of their mistake. For me. Instead, they realized that I would never shirk responsibility,
The stream though.
and I would never pass
Pause the stream. Pause the stream so it's.